Hello everyone and welcome to TTG's Aussie Fest, Great Golf Courses of Australia Masterclass. I'm Abra Dunsby, Features Editor at TTG, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Elizabeth Sattler, Executive Officer for Great Golf Courses of Australia, which is one of Tourism Australia's signature experiences, Heath Wilson, General Manager of the Peninsula Kingswood Country Golf Club, and Glenn Headley from Voyagers Golf, which is an Australia-based travel agent specialising in golf holidays. Hello to all three of you and thanks so much for joining today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Good to be here.
Today we will be discussing all things golf in Australia, and just to give you a bit of an overview, we're going to be finding out about the USPs of Australia's golf courses and why they merit the long journey, the variety of golf courses available, looking at difficulty, accessibility, accommodation options and inclusions to help with client matching. And we're also going to be sharing some top tips for building a golfing itinerary or a longer itinerary that incorporates golf days. If any of you have any questions for Elizabeth, Heath or Glenn, please do make sure you make use of the chat function to do so, and also make sure you move into the Q&A room after this masterclass to put those questions to our experts. Okay, fantastic. So let's kick off with some questions that are going to help you as travel agents self-golfing holidays to Australia. So Glenn, why should UK and Irish travel agents consider Australia's golf courses for their clients, and what makes them worth that long journey?
Well, most golfers are keen to always play golf on new courses for starters, but I think Australia is one of those countries. It's on everyone's bucket list. There wouldn't be anyone in the UK I've ever met who doesn't want to come here at some stage or come back. I think the real bottom line is that we've got 1,500 courses right across the country. They, from up in tropical north down to a bit cooler in Tasmania. These are world-class courses. We've got, I think, 10 courses in the top 100 at the moment, depending on which magazine you read, but they're up there. Within Australia, particularly here in Victoria where we are, there's multiple fantastic courses in an area called the Sandbelt, which most international golf travellers would know about or heard about through watching major golf events, certainly at places like Royal Melbourne, Metropolitan and other similar courses. So I think the reason to come out here is pretty deep. You've got the reef, you've got the outback, you've got fantastic cities, you've got art and culture. You've got incredible events like the Grand Prix, the tennis, golf events themselves, not to mention our footy and rugby and everything else that Australia has. So I think combining golf with many of those events is a world-class experience, really. Then you've got great wine and food. The list is endless.
Fantastic. And Elizabeth, can you just explain what are the great golf courses of Australia? And how many are in the collection and what makes them stand out from the rest?
So the Great Golf Courses of Australia are a collection of the top public and private access courses around the country. They are exceptional in their architecture, their hospitality, their tourism offering, and of course many of them, as Glenn mentioned, are rated in the top 100 in the world, have held world-class tournaments, and incredibly scenic and beautiful places to play on. So I think that Great Golf Courses of Australia is a program that was really designed to help leverage and showcase those top golf courses, so people in international destinations understood the quality of golf that we have down here in Australia.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. We are now going to show you a very short video that will really bring Australia's golf courses to life.
From the day's first light to the fading dusk, the spirit of adventure calls. A shared pursuit beckons, an escape to big skies and new horizons. Home to over 1,500 courses and year-round playing weather, golf is a large part of the great active Aussie lifestyle. Across Australia, from coast and countryside to capital city, your journey awaits. A journey that ventures to championship layouts, remote coastal links, and the famed courses of the World Top 100. Our fairways take in some of this country's most incredible natural scenery. From deserts, arms-fringed islands, and celebrated wine regions, to the prestigious clubs of the great Melbourne Sandbelt. With routes designed by some of the most famous architects in the game, 9 of the world's top 100 courses and venues that have hosted some of the world's most prestigious events. Golf in Australia is the opportunity to explore some of the best public and private courses on the planet, with scenery to match. So come, walk in the footsteps of your heroes and experience golf like nowhere else in the world.
Fantastic. I think it's safe to say that there's some amazing scenery and sunshine for golfing enthusiasts to enjoy in Australia. Okay, I've got a few more questions for you now. Elizabeth, how do the courses differ across the country? Would visitors get a sense of, for example, outback or coast in their surroundings on the course?
Yeah, one of the wonderful things about golf in Australia is the diversity of the golf courses that we have down here. So we have everything from golf courses on tropical islands to the amazing championship courses of the Melbourne Sandbelt. We have world-class links golf courses, and we even have golf courses that run across the Australian outback. So there's so much diversity in the product. And, you know, people travel specifically to play particular types of golf courses, and golf courses designed by particular architects or who have had influence by particular architects. And Australian golf really incorporates all of that. So there's so many factors that will appeal to the bucket list of a golf enthusiast that Australia has is able to touch on. And then, as Glenn mentioned, not only that we have golf courses, the majority of our golf courses are located very close to major metropolitan areas. So it's really easy to incorporate that amazing golf experience, for example, in Melbourne, and then, you know, stay close to the city, enjoy some of the restaurants, go down to the Mornington Peninsula, enjoy the fabulous wineries down there, and still incorporate that golf experience. So not only great for golf enthusiasts, but if there's someone that plays a lot of golf and really wants to target a few of these top courses, but their partner perhaps doesn't play golf, there's plenty of alternatives for them to be able to do as well. You're not in a really remote destination where the golf is the only option. I think that's very appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And Heath, can you tell us a little bit about Peninsula Kingswood Country Golf Club? Where is it and what are its USPs?
Yeah, we're situated about an hour and a half from the airport and about 45 minutes from the CBD of Melbourne. We're situated in Frankston, which is really the gateway to the Mornington Peninsula. So we're quite unique because we're close enough to the city, but we're also close enough to the Mornington Peninsula as well. We've just had a 5-year redo, if you'd like to call it that. We merged 2 golf clubs 6 years ago and have now got 2 basically totally renovated golf courses, brand new clubhouse, accommodation, pool, gym, tennis courts. It's a country club. It's a very rare country club to be in Australia. There's not too many real country clubs in Australia. And this is what our market really attracts. Our courses are rated number 5 and 18 in Australia, and it's now all the work's done and everything's been finished. It's an amazing place. It's just not golf courses. It's got a lot of tradition too, as 2 clubs to come together. So yeah, we're not right in the city, but we're close enough to everything else to get to very easily.
And what type of golfer is Peninsula Kingswood best suited to, would you say? Is it sort of young and active, or perhaps a more mature traveller who might have accessibility in mind?
Well, our members vary from very young to very old, like most golf clubs, even over in the UK. But no, it's set up for all types of golfers. It can be a very, very hard course. A lot of professionals find it very hard, or depending on the daily setup of the tees and where we put the pins, it can be quite an easy course as well. So there's lots of different scenarios with the way that we set the courses up for the hardest golfer or for something a bit easier as well.
Okay. And Glenn, just in terms of accessibility, are there any courses that you would suggest for visitors with limited mobility?
Well, in limited mobility or limited time, I think are two challenges we all face. But I think just about every course in Australia is easily accessible. Moving around them is quite easy, particularly those courses that are located close to the cities. Most of them do have motorised carts. Where they don't, they have pull trolleys, etc. Some courses have caddies. I'm sure Heath will explain a bit more of that later. Australian golf courses are friendly, let's say. They're not too snobby. Pretty much everywhere you can go and get a game of golf if you go about it the right way. And I think Great Golf Courses of Australia is a great introduction to some of the best courses here. But there's another layer and another layer after that. People can drive around the countryside, stop in the middle of nowhere and find a nice golf course for $30 or $40. It's extremely accessible financially. Then for those avid, high-end golfers, well, we've got it all. There's no question there. I mean, where I play, just down the road from this beautiful scenery behind me, I'm a member of a course called the National, and on one location we've got 3 totally different golf courses. Within 20 minutes, we have another 7 or 8 golf courses, and within 40 minutes, we've got Heath's courses. Another one right next to there is one of ours, and then between there and Melbourne, there's another dozen or so fantastic world-class courses. So just in Melbourne alone, accessibility is very high, probably more so than Sydney, but Sydney again has some terrific courses, particularly on the North Shore. And then places like Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, plenty of golf courses, very easily accessible. And right up north, say in Cairns, you've got, or Port Douglas, you've got 2 courses up there, which are very enjoyable. One of them you have to go in a motorised cart, otherwise you get snapped by a few crocodiles. So we've got a bit like Louisiana. We've got some risk and reward when it comes to golf.
Makes it more exciting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, do all of the great golf courses of Australia offer accommodation options?
No, not all of them. As we've sort of mentioned in this chat, there are a lot of them that are located very close to major city centres, which is wonderful because you have the access to those accommodation facilities as well. There are a few that offer accommodation. Peninsula Kingswood Heath Golf Course is a great example of that. They have some brand new accommodation, clubhouse, and also on-site villas or little cottages available for hire. Some of the more remote destinations do have golf. Have accommodation available on site. So King Island, the golf course on King Island, Cape Wickham, they have accommodation there. Barnbougle down on the northeast coast of Tasmania, there's accommodation there. And up on Hamilton Island or Dent Island, just off Hamilton Island, there is accommodation facilities available. Those golf courses are more difficult to access in terms of they are a little bit more remote, a little bit further away from major cities. And then we do have some accommodation available at Victoria Golf Course, which is also a golf club, which is also on the Melbourne Sandbelt.
Amazing. And so Heath, Elizabeth mentioned their accommodation options at Peninsula Kingswood. So do you offer all-inclusive packages for those accommodation options, and can you talk through some of the options available?
We do. We've got 18 rooms there. As Elizabeth touched on, we have 10 room. We call them remote rooms, which are out on the golf course, looking out over a hole, not too far away from the clubhouse. But we offer our standard packages, golf and accommodation and breakfast. But we do have other packages if the clients want to have all inclusive of lunch and dinner as well. A lot of our stays are for 4 or 5 nights, but so we try and encourage our people who stay to maybe go down to the Mornington Peninsula. We've got some of the most amazing wineries and restaurants 30 minutes drive from where we are. So we try and mix it up a fair bit with all that. But yeah, we suit any package to suit any traveller. At the moment, we've got a travel deal going with, we're lucky over in Australia and New Zealand. We've got a bubble that's just opened up with the travel. So we're doing some things with a club over in New Zealand, with a couple of other clubs in Melbourne as well. So it's all starting to happen. So that's a good thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there'll be some great pickup for that. And Elizabeth, do any of the other great golf courses of Australia offer all-inclusive packages as well? And if so, which ones?
Well, because a lot of the golf courses don't have accommodation on site, all-inclusive packages are probably not quite as applicable. In terms of offers, they will be able to package lunch up with their round of golf, or if you would like a lesson, that can certainly be arranged as well. Of course, carts, either pool carts or drive carts can be included in that round of golf, but it really depends on the facility and whether they have that accommodation available. But certainly, you know, the on-site auxiliary facilities to support the golf course are exceptional standard for all these golf courses, which is why they're in that collective. They do have to meet a certain standard and a certain criteria to be involved in the program. And that is just really quality assurance for any traveller coming from anywhere around the world to understand and know that they will get a world-class experience when they come and visit us.
Fantastic. And Heath, if a client wants golfing to make up only part of their itinerary, what sort of activities or excursions or attractions would you recommend that agents pair with a stay at Peninsula Kingswood?
Well, with a stay at our places, as we've touched on, as Glenn said, we're very close to Mornington Peninsula. You know, as I said before, there's lots of wineries, there's lots of great restaurants. They've got the Peninsula Hot Springs down there, which is very, very popular with tourists from all around the world when they're actually coming here. There's national parks, and in the warmer months, obviously, we've got some of the best beaches you could go to. Really, 20 minutes drive from where we are, and then you get, you know, they got a lot of farm area, strawberries, raspberries, picking, anything like that. So there's lots to do within a half an hour, 25-minute drive, or, you know, you can go into the city for the day, or you can play some of the other great golf courses down on the Mornington Peninsula as well. We organise all the transfers, and we can do all that for them while they stay with us.
Fantastic. There's some great options there. And in terms of any sort of selling tips for agents selling golfing holidays, or who want to maybe incorporate golfing holidays into a longer itinerary, do you have any tips, Glenn, for agents out there?
Yeah, well, they should have a look at our website. It might help with setting things up for them, because we list a lot of courses around the country. When we operate internationally, so COVID's changed things a little bit for us, and recently, and we've looked a bit more in our own backyard. For example, we've got a cruise we're doing. We've chartered a small ship, 100 people, to go from Melbourne to Hobart, playing in King Island. So Elizabeth mentioned before, there's 2 fantastic courses on King Island. So we take, rather than people try and get to a remote place, we take a ship and they stay on board and go ashore and play golf twice. And we then go down around the coast of Tassie, playing Barnbougle Dunes and the Lost Farm at Barnbougle, then along Wineglass Bay down the east coast to Hobart and play down there. It's a food and wine experience. It's 11 nights altogether, with 3 nights in Hobart. There's that sort of thing available for agents. I think if they can look at an inclusive package, obviously it warrants instant commission for starters, but it focuses on what golf, wine and food's all about in one hit, really, and a luxury experience. It depends how long people have got. You know, we can put any itineraries together for people for a week, 2 weeks or more. Coming out this far, I think most people want to stay a bit longer. Everyone wants to tick off a few things like the Barrier Reef and Sydney and potentially Melbourne. If they're golfers, they'll want to come to Victoria and Tasmania in particular at the moment. There's so much going on here that it's a bottomless pit. But really, at the end of the day, from a travel agent's viewpoint, they've got to understand that a golfer really has a focus on playing new courses, playing generally the best courses, and wanting good value for money. So I think if they do their research, speak to the experts, try and tie in accommodation on site like Heath offers. There's a lot going for that sort of concept, because it's economical and sensible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And actually, we touched upon caddies briefly earlier. Heath, are golf caddies available in Australia like they are in other countries?
They're not readily available like in other countries, but they are accessible. But they just have to be pre-booked. You know, for instance, we had the President's Cup last year or the year before, and you know we had a lot of Americans out, and we organised caddies for all them. So there is a little bit of a caddy school in the Sandbelt area where there's some caddies that do it. Royal Melbourne. For instance, if you play Royal Melbourne, you do have to have a caddy sometimes. That is sometimes their rule with on certain days. So yeah, there is caddies, but it'd have to be booked before they came, or the time they're in Melbourne with a bit of advice. They're not readily available like in clubs in Europe and America. They're not at the golf club waiting for a job, so they have to be booked. But yeah, and and with most, as Glenn said, most clubs have got carts anyway. So all those need to be pre-booked as well, because they're not, there's not 100 carts at a club. With ours, we've got a big fleet, and some clubs have, but a lot of the smaller clubs don't have big fleets of carts.
Okay, so important to pre-book then.
Correct. Yeah.
Brilliant. And Elizabeth, so for agents who want to find out more about golfing holidays in Australia, have you got any additional resources or training or advice for agents about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Great Golf Courses of Australia is really an information resource. We're not an agent, obviously, like Glenn is. We just provide information, images, helping the agents to understand the product that's in Australia and how to go about creating an itinerary with that in it. So you can jump onto the Great Golf Courses website, which is just www.greatgolfaustralia.com.au, to see imagery, more information about the club, some suggested itineraries. We've matched some of the golf courses with passion points, so you can create an itinerary for someone who loves golf and wine by looking at which courses are located close to wineries, which courses designed by famous architects like Dr. Alistair Mackenzie, and create itineraries based around that. We do also obviously have training modules on the Aussie Specialist program, which is run by Tourism Australia off their Aussie Specialist training platform. So there's a module on there for Great Golf Courses of Australia. You can go on and learn a bit more about each of the courses and some quick facts about the different regions. And then actually during COVID last year, we were obviously all in lockdown, and we created a group of golf course masterclasses. So basically this is everything from an introduction to golf, if you've never played golf before but perhaps have high-end luxury clients that are interested in playing golf internationally, to looking at the different golf courses around Australia, what the different types of golf courses, different golf courses in different regions, the history of golf, some basic golf terminology, so you're confident talking to your clients about golf if it's not something that you play yourself, but work with those really high-end clientele.
Fantastic, that sounds really useful, thank you. Okay, well, I think that's about all we have time for today. So thank you very much to Elizabeth, Heath and Glenn for sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed our Great Courses of Australia masterclass. I am here live with Heath, Elizabeth and Glenn now to answer any questions you might have. So please do pop them in the chat if you do have any questions for the panel. Oh, we've got one already. That's great. David is asking, are all courses available to visitors, and does proof of handicap have to be produced to be able to play the courses? I don't know who wants to
I can answer that one. No, proof of handicap, depending on the day, doesn't need to be need to be produced. But obviously, if there is a competition on at one of the clubs and you do want to play in it and you can play in it, you do need your handicap. Most courses are accessible, yeah. Most courses, like everything, but on some of the really popular courses, on certain days they're not, but nearly all are. Yeah.
Okay, great. Before I ask the next question, I just want to remind everyone watching, if you haven't answered the poll questions in the polls tab in the Golf Courses Masterclass, that will be closing in about 4 minutes, so you can pop back and come back in if you did forget to do that. We have a question from Elaine, who is asking, is all equipment provided or for hire, or do visitors need to bring their own kit?
Do you want me to answer that, Biz, or you?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Elizabeth, want to take that one?
Okay. I would say, look, in terms of golf, it depends how much golf they're going to play. Golfers that are travelling to Australia specifically on a golfing holiday will most likely bring their own clubs, because it's like having your own running shoes. You know, you want to wear your own shoes. You don't want to play the top golf courses in the world with clubs that aren't yours and that you're not used to. So I would say generally golf enthusiasts will absolutely bring all their own gear. If they happen to be, say, coming on a family holiday and they just want to play maybe one golf and sneak it in somewhere, then yes, they would be able to hire clubs, and the golf courses do have clubs available for hire. But generally, I would say most golfers would bring all their own gear. Great, thank you. And sorry, just Maddie, on that, it's also important to note there's quite a number of the airlines that do include golf clubs as luggage. So if you have 2 pieces of luggage, like on Emirates or Etihad, they are actually included in that. So, okay, great, thank you. Really good to know. Glenn, I'm going to come to you for the next question. Richard has asked, is there a must-play course close to Sydney?
There's a few, but probably the most significant one would be New South Wales Golf Club, which is on the water, very close to the city, about 20 minutes away, if that. It's in the top few courses in Australia and in the top 100 in the world. So you'd have to say yes. New South Wales Golf Club would be the one I'd vote for.
Great, thank you. And I wanted to ask about the best time of year to play golf in Australia. Obviously, it's going to depend where you are, but what would be your kind of tips for choosing when to plan a trip to play golf in Australia? Elizabeth, should I come back to you for that one?
Sure. Well, I guess the great thing about Australia is it's a very big country, and so it doesn't matter where you are, or it doesn't matter what time of year you're in Australia, there will be somewhere it'll be a great time of year to play golf. So, for example, in the traditional Australian winter, which is the dry season, in Queensland, it's a great time to play golf up in Queensland when it's not too humid. In these sort of spring through to autumn, anywhere from Sydney all the way down the eastern seaboard, and along to South Australia is wonderful playing, because it's not too cold, but also in the peak of summer, it's not too hot. So, so there's something for every time of year.
Great. And Heath, when's the best time to visit Peninsula Kingswood?
I would say between October and April. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Probably perfect time is February, March.
Cool. Lovely.
It's not too hot and it's beautiful weather.
Now, I'm no golf expert, but I think this might be a cheeky question. I've got Albert asking, will an Aussie ever win a major again?
Yes.
Definitely.
Next year.
Okay, well that was a short Q&A for golf courses. So we are just about out of time.